Hey, welcome to another YouTube Live with me. And in this particular video, we're going to learn how to analyze your time and record your time or whatever time you have tracked. Use that to plan your projects for the future. Now, this is a impromptu live session. I was doing the session of my planning. I was planning my projects, and so I thought I'll just go live with whatever we have for this particular year. And so this is a completely working video. So it'll allow you to do two things. One, learn to track your time effectively so that you can plan better and know where your time leakages are going. And then next, you will also learn how some amount of data science in analyzing your personal time and trying to make decisions out of it. So those are the two objectives for this particular session. So dive in and let me set the context for this particular live session. So before we start off, I'm just checking a little bit of stuff if they are there. Yeah, it is. My screen share is in the right place. And I'm just checking if the live stream is going on. Yeah, it is going on. Let me just. Okay, perfect. So it's all set. Now let me set the objective for again so that we can get into it directly. So the objective is time-based project planning. We often set projects and ideas that we don't really have an idea of how much time we're going to spend. And so what I did last year was track every little activity that I did. And so I'm not now going to look at those activities and see how much I can extract value from it or make decisions out of it and make new projects. So I don't know how it's going to be looking like, but definitely there's a lot of value in trying to find out the projects that you're going to do with time based indications to back you with it. Next, the secondary objective is to apply data science to managing your time. And then the tool that I'm going to use that I've used for tracking my time is called Toggle Track. And there's going to be there's going to be yeah. So there's sorry for there was some noise. Anyway, so the activities that we're going to do is the core activity is that we're going to analyze the activities and then create 2020 project plan with it, right? So this is just going to be a broad plan. I'm going to do a follow up and see how we're going to expand the activities also. So the idea is to extract the data, clean the data, analyze it, and then plan for future projects. So let's get started. I'm going to go to toggle track, and this is the dashboard, the reports dashboard. Now this is this week's data, but I'm going to take last year's data and download this data. Now if you've seen here, yeah, I have clocked 1700 hours, and so this much work, this much time has been tracked, and I'm going to use this as a baseline to plan my further projects. And it's going to be exciting because I don't know how the data is looking like and how I'm going to do it. So let's see how we can do that. Now I'm going to go to the details tab here instead of doing the summary here, because once you do the detailed, it's going to download the CSV and it's going to give you all the information there. So let me just open the CSV file and see how it's going to be looking like. Okay, so this is what the data is going to be looking like. I'm just going to expand this a little bit and see how it's going to looking like. So there's something called as an amount. There's nothing on that at least, right? So We have this, we have my ID in this client project, this description, billable, and all of that. So there is also duration, which is the time part of it that will be helpful for us. And other are tags that are available. So this is basically if I want to get any detailed stuff, I will be able to get it from here. Okay. So first of all, with this, let's just quickly see what are the overall projects that I've sort of worked on. And I'm going to do insert pivot table and put this particular data. Now, once I insert the pivot table, all of this is going to be really easy to analyze. So first, overall, just let's look at the projects that we have. So I have these many different projects, and I'm going to put the duration in the values here. So it's just going to give me the count of how many records that I have. And as you can see, I work for Dell full time, and so most of my time is spent there. Then this is my secondary project, which is where I spend time on basically creating a data science course. It's a 6-step method to get into data science. So that's one that thing I'm doing, and there are apart from that, there are other things that are also available. Now, the duration really, if I just try to sum it up, it doesn't really give me some meaningful information. Like I know this is not the time I've spent on this work, right? So the way to really do this, it's the data, the time, the duration data is actually present in hours and time format, and so we need to first convert this. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data or home, and I'm going to format this as a table first. Call this as Kunal time. Okay, I'm going to insert a column here. I'm going to call this as duration in hours. So let's see how it's going to be looking like. Now, whatever time we have, essentially this one is, let me just expand this a little bit. Essentially, this is in hours, right? We see that, but if we sum it, right, it's not giving the right number, because if you do general, you see that it's actually 0.041 something, right? So we need to convert it into hours. And so to do that, I'm going to do something like this, probably multiply 60 to it. 60 doesn't give the hours. I'm going to not do this. Actually, again, it's formatted as a time, so that's the issue here. I'm going to format it like this. I don't know if this is the time that we are looking for. Okay. Start time and time. Okay, so 8 to 8, 9:29 is, okay, let's look at this. 8:44 to 10:24 is 1 hour 39 minutes, and it shows 4.13, which should not be the one, I think. So let's do this. 24. No, that is also not cutting it. 1 second. This seems a little appropriate, right? So we multiplied it by 24 hours, and that's how we are going to get the hours. So yeah, if I just format this back, you see it's 1 hour 22 seconds, and that's how this is accounting for. So that's how I get the duration hours. And so now we can use this in our pivot table, right? So I'm just going to delete this and re-enter the pivot table because I formatted this. I'm going to do a pivot table on top of this, say okay, and I'm going to basically put projects here again and put duration hours. Okay, this time again, let's refresh it, and we're going to sort it by descending hours, which is now better. So if you notice this now, if I reduce the decimals, I have the 1,700 hours, which is what we have here, right? So that's the exact amount. And so as you can see now, I have these many projects, so many things that are there. And the first idea will be taking these projects and then converting into places that it may belong to, right? So let's see, this is the step one, getting all the 2021 projects. Okay, so this is a step one, 2021 projects. Now, what we're going to do is um, have a again. This is time indicating that we have there. Now we're going to categorize projects into certain levels. So I'm going to keep one sheet for one activity just to keep this simplicity and all of that. So I'm going to say projects and hours spent. Okay, so that's the thing. And now we need to categorize these projects into different buckets, right? So what I'm going to do is, um, we will essentially use some framework, right? Um, and the BCG framework where we have like start, stop, or all of those things, we can use that and a mixture of some of these activities. So let me just give one thing. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, um, let me just divide this by half so we can see it all in one place. I can expand this a little bit. It'll be helpful to look at it. Okay. So these are the projects. Okay. Now what we're going to do is place them into buckets um, that that we feel we're going to work on, right? So I'm going to have stop as one activity. I want to stop certain projects, and then there is continue. Okay, continue. Then there is what do we say? Stop, continue, start new projects if I have to, and then uh, let's say improve. I don't know if we can. Okay, improve maybe this thing. Let's do with just start, continue, and start new project, right? So these are continue existing projects, start new projects, and stop some projects, right? So initially, let me just go with stop, right? So initially, I had started a podcast and a YouTube channel. It's called the Adjective Content Creators. So there's that YouTube, and there is a podcast that I started, right? So these are the two things that I'm going to put top two. I'm rebranding and bring everything under my personal brand. So that's going to be stop. I will be doing podcast probably, but not in this, right? So I'm going to stop this and create a podcast on data science, right? So that's probably the one of that, and then also another one just under my brand, and I can basically I want to keep this open and speak anything that I want, and have it fluid, right? Basically let the creativity flow in this particular stuff, right? So that's that. These are two. They're going to be podcasts again. Let me just put it out. Podcast here. Okay, or YouTube live, whichever is the case. Again, this can be also a YouTube live. Okay, so these are the two start projects that I can do, and these are going to be stopping. So now there are some things that are there. I did some Skillshare. I did some Skillshare videos. I'm going to stop that. There is, I had started another version of a course, but I'm going to stop that also. It's not going to be as helpful. I used to do websites as a lot of things. There's a lot of unwanted things I used to do. This is another thing that I did a lot of experimentations here. So I'm going to stop this, and Okay, learning is a big project, right? So I place all my learning, and as you can see, I've spent roughly 140 hours just learning something or the other. Okay, so yeah, 140 hours of learning, and there's YouTube 1 million. I call this one YouTube 1 million. This is going to be definitely two big things that I'm going to continue. So Dell definitely going to continue. Masterminds. Yeah, so this is called, I'm going to put, yeah, data science masterminds here. Okay, so this is the masterminds here. This is going to be continuing again in nature. Then we have networking. I have some networking activities that I do. Some SMB e-commerce analytics that I have that is going to be continuing. There's some unwanted stuff I tagged as unwanted is going to be stopping. Web app, I'm going to stop that. Trying to focus on few things. Coaching is combined with this, so I'm going to leave that. Or in fact, think coaching. First, this is one-to-one coaching. I can change that to one-to-one coaching. Okay. I did some training with Jigsaw. That's going to be continuing. 152 hours. Again, this is a dollar-based activity. Okay. So that's it. Then Kaggle, Excel, web app, TS, Skillshare, content writing. Okay. I merged this into data science mastermind, so that is not going to be there. So yeah, these are some of the projects that are going to be continuing. The learning YouTube, my work is definitely going to be there. Data science, networking, SMB analytics, small and medium business analytics, e-commerce. So that's going to be there. One-to-one coaching and Jigsaw, right? So these are the lean things that I'm going to be doing. And again, they're going to start some new stuff that is available here. So roughly these are some of the projects that I will be handling this year. Okay, and how much time I have spent, the indication is sort of here, right? So you see that there's learning, networking, and all of these activities. So definitely helpful to identify what we can do with this particular thing. Okay, so this categorization is the step two, right? So uh, this is what I needed. Clean it. Okay, I'm cleaned it. I cleaned it. We are analyzing it right now. So analyze. Yeah. So this is the second step, and the third step we're just going to replicate this just to show you what's the third step going to be looking like. Okay. So we're going to do plan now. This is the fourth step, in fact. Okay. One and two, this is the third step, cleaning, the second step, sorry. Clean. This is the third step. Okay, fourth is the planning part. So I've just copied this entire analysis part of it here, and we're just going to reorganize the data in a much more efficient way here. So I'm going to put all of these back here. Some things I did not tag purposefully, but yeah, so these are some things that we're going to do. So I'm going to take all of these projects that here, and I'm going to put stop for all of that. Take this guy, bring it here, put continue for all of them, and I'm going to start. Okay, start is not available for these two, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here and just have it here. Okay. So let's insert. Okay, and then we'll say category in this particular place. Okay, so we look up the project name, and from this particular table, we're going to get the category in this place. So yeah, there's an entire series on VLOOKUP that I've done, so you can look at that. But yeah, these are the categories. So I've just now put all of the categories in this place. Okay, and there are some of the things that I've sort of renamed it, right? So data science masterminds, I'm going to rename that particular uh, project, right? So that's there. This one definitely going to be in the stop criteria. So I'm going to put that and stop. What else? There'll be two other things that I'm going to put on stop. These are these two projects. This is along with my wife. I do a bunch of stuff, so that's going to continue. Put that continue content writing. Stop. Uh, the rest of them I'm just going to put stop because I've replanned how I'm going to do all of those activities. Okay. So yeah, these are the categorizations that we have done. I'm going to copy and paste special values here. And I'm going to delete this, right? So we just have like these categories, and I'm going to now put a pivot table on top of this and put it here. And if you see the projects that we have, we're going to sum of the hours, and we are going to put something like this. So yeah, okay, there is two projects that I'm going to do. Podcast, I forgot that. Okay, let me just do Control Z to get that back. Yeah, these are the start projects that we're going to do. Okay, so these are 0 hours as of now, but I'm going to put them in any ways. Okay, so then we can delete it. Okay, we have these projects now, and we can, like, I can do any other projects that I want to start off. But for now, I think this is good enough for me to look at it. Okay, further we have to break it into processes. But let's just start off now. I'll format this as a table so that we have it as a reference. I'm going to say plan table, and I'm going to insert a pivot table on top of it on in the existing sheet here. Say okay. I'm going to put the categories here, the hours here. Okay. So if you notice, again, start, there is no time spent as of now because nothing of yet. As you can see, like I have a lot of out of those 1,700 hours that I have, roughly I've wasted, let's say this divide by this, roughly 22% of my time was wasted, or let's say due to attention. Okay, wasted. Or uh, distraction. Okay, distraction time. I'm going to put all of that there, and then now the the really the real working hours. Like say productive hours were the 1,700 minus the stop hours, right? So 1,300 hours is what I was productive on. And so I've this is a rough time that I can really work, right? And there are some times that I can definitely work, as you can see, like 400 hours. There is some time that is there, but I plan to do something with that time. I know that my productive hours in a year was 11311, right? And if I had to put a perspective, let's put a perspective. Let's put a fifth step here and put a perspective, right? To this, right? Let's put a perspective to these number of hours that is there. Right? So I'm going to take these two. In fact, I'll just take these numbers, and let's put a perspective to this. Okay, I'm going to put this and delete this, and just have these number of hours. Let's see how we can put a perspective to this particular thing. Okay, the perspective would be how many hours are there in a year. Okay, how many working hours we can do in a year. Okay, and so let's say we have 365 days, right? Out of which we will be, this is 1 year. Okay, 1 year. Leave out. Okay, we're not going to do weekends sort of a thing. I mean, let's say if weekends are the time that you really want to spend not doing anything or doing minimal work, then we're going to say 1 days without weekend. I'm good. These are just estimates. So there are 52 weekends, right? So 365 days, 365 days, and there are 52 weekends, right? So 52 is equal to 52 into 2. So that's roughly this minus this. Okay, so you have essentially 261 days, and with some holidays and leaves or something like that, we'll put like 30-40 days. Let's put 40 days holidays, right? So it's good to bake in some holidays and plan for it. And so let's say 40 days is something that we have. Okay, estimate, and then that's going to be this minus this. So that's roughly 2 to 2 1 hours. And if you convert that into hours, right, 24 hours, it's going to be this into this, which is roughly around 53008. Okay. Now, even this number is really big, 5,000. And as you can see, I have sort of worked. Let me just put total hours clocked. Yeah, it's going to be this number divided by this, which is 32% of my time, right? Um, and if I just had to take like the 8 hour rule, right? So 8 hours working, 8 hours sleeping. Okay, so 8 hours for sleeping, 8 hours for working, 8 hours for work, and all of that thing. Even at that particular rate, right? Uh, uh, estimated working hours is going to be a third of this, right? So this divided by 3. So that comes to roughly 1768, okay, which is exactly the number of hours I've clocked. And definitely, I know there is a lot of unproductive time. And you can see here, this is the unproductive hours. or learning hours that we have within this particular thing, right? So essentially, if you want to continue your projects or do new projects, right? Uh, then yeah, and definitely, unproductive hours is this. Then I have a full-time job, so those hours also I have to do. So full-time job hours, right? So if I just remove the productive hours from this to this, I get 1331. Sorry, this is productive hours, and then one of the major chunks is full-time job hours, and that's roughly around 500 550 hours I've spent. Okay, so that's going to be this minus this, which is roughly around 761 hours that is available in hand. Okay, that's available in hand, and you can see some of the jobs that I have, the work. Oh, sorry, it's 160. So two of them. So that will be 712 hours. Okay, so 712 hours. Yeah, so that leaves me roughly on an estimate of 50-50%, right? Which means whatever the one third of the time that I have, right, that is 1,700 hours in a year, I can only spend like 50% in my work and 50% on rest of these activities. And definitely there's, you know, again, after the job also there's the work time that is there. It's just, I mean, there is a lot of balance, but overall you're going to see that the eight, maybe not eight, but let's say 10 hours that we have in a day are spent, and we divide it between work and balance, right? So that's how you have to look at it. But essentially you'll, I mean, my full-time job definitely takes up more than my side activities, and so those are the hours that I should be looking at, right? So roughly around 1000. And you want to do, like, you want to take time for thinking, planning, reflecting, all of those activities. So ensure that all of these things are done, and like you're super clear on not putting in the unproductive hour. Rather, you just try to put all of these hours in this particular place, and you'll be much more effective, right? So we have the productive hours. I mean, productive hours. This is what you need to plan for. Like 1,300 300 hours is something that you can plan for. Again, your numbers can be a slightly different. I like to have a balance, and so if I have to put a balance, this is what I'm aiming for. And all of my plans will be revolving around keeping it under 1,400 hours. And so the goal is plan for plan project hours is going to be 1,400 hours. That's the goal. Now within this analysis, that is where I came to is how I spend your time. Now there's so many different ways you can spend your time. There's different perspective for you to be working on, but that's the really net effective, and that time you will be spent for a full-time job. Okay, plus starting my own course, and then YouTube also, right? So YouTube slash podcast. Again, plus some amount of marketing work. And so there are some works that I can think of outsourcing, but this is what is there in the first half. So essentially, that's what it is, guys. Where we looked at our time, how much time I've worked in an entire year. We then downloaded the data from Toggle Track, cleaned it, analyzed the data, and then sort of created a overall number that is there, right? So I sort of need to plan for 1,400 hours in a year. Okay, productive hours, and so if I can make this happen, that is going to be truly thing to look for. But now, since I've learned and made a lot of mistakes in the first thing, there's a lot of things that I have miscategorize this tags and all of that thing. The next step is I have to take this 14 hours and the projects that I have, the ones that I want to continue, right? So continue or start, I have to take these projects, and if I have to sum of these, yeah, this will be 1,400 hours. These are the things that I need to replan and see how I can do the activities, tone down and all of that, and plan for it. And so I will never be anxious about I don't have enough time. I know that I'm going to spend these many hours and I will spend it effectively. Okay, so that's the perspective I want to leave you with, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any doubts, do reach out to me. Send me an email. Connect with me on Twitter or directly tweet to me and send me an email, and we can connect and do this activity. Um, if you're not already using Toggle Track, please start use that app, put the app and download it on your system. You'll be easily able to track time with it. The advantage is that you'll see that it automatically tracks and gives you what are the tabs that you have used, right? So I can simply just categorize this as a new activity. I can say um, YouTube Live, and I can categorize this as YouTube Live project. That's because I learned uh, here. So I'm going to say YouTube Live project live. And this is going to be self create project. So I've created a YouTube Live project, and I'm going to say live webinar, YouTube Live. I'm going to put this as a tag, and then I'm going to say YouTube Live um, track and analyze your time done. And so it sort of creates an entry, and then it records the entry like this, and I'm able to then look at it and then analyze it like the report that we have in this particular place. So that's how it will be there. I will definitely do another video on extrapolating the projects and putting in time for this. So if you enjoyed this, guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and do reach out to me if you really want to plan, and we can connect and get on the Zoom and do this. Thank you for watching. That's all I have for today.